Hey folks, as we continue to talk about angles, I want to point out that you can have both positive and negative angles. And when we're looking at the unit circle, every angle starts here at 0 degrees or 0 radians. Remember, radians does not have a symbol with it, so you know it's in radians if you don't have a degree symbol. So if I rotate an angle, say 90 degrees, my terminal side will be right there. It'd be that ray, and that would be 90 degrees, which would be the equivalent of pi over 2 radians. If I rotate an angle and then in a negative direction, say negative 540 degrees, it means that I would have to rotate clockwise from 0. So I start at 0 and I rotate around. That's 360 degrees. 450, 540 would end up right there. Okay, so negative 540 would be the same as 180, the same as pi, the same as negative pi. All would end up in the same spot. All right, so if I'm looking at these three given angles that are measured in degrees, the question is to find the point on the unit circle that corresponds to that given angle. So when you're looking at the unit circle, every side of the unit circle has an order of pair. For example, the order of pair right here is 0, 1, 0. Up here at 90, I would have 0, 1. At 180, I would have negative 1, 0. And down here at 270, I would have 0, negative 1. So if I'm asked to rotate 135 degrees, you're going to end up right let me see, 90. So it'll be 90 plus 45 degrees. I don't know why I was confused about that. This would be 135 degrees right here. So the ordered pair at 135 degrees is negative root 2 over 2, root 2 over 2. So the cosine of 135 degrees would be negative root 2 over 2, and the sine would be root 2 over 2. Cosine goes with the x-coordinate, sine goes with the y-coordinate. Okay, the second angle, negative 60 degrees. It's going to be right down here. That point at negative 60 degrees is going to be 1/2 negative root 3 over 2. 225 degrees is in quadrant 3. 225 degrees is right down here. And that ordered pair is negative root 2 over 2, negative root 2 over 2. Okay, so just like in the rectangular coordinate system, in the first quadrant, the x-coordinates are positive and the y-coordinates are positive. In the second quadrant, x is negative, y is still positive. Third quadrant, we have both of them being negative. And the fourth, positive, negative. Okay, so that correlates with the cosine and the sine of the angle. Remember, every x-coordinate is the cosine of the angle, every y-coordinate is the sine of the angle. Now, if we move on to radian measures, 2 pi over 3 is right there. Okay, so that ordered pair at 2 pi over 3 is negative 1/2 root 3 over 2. Seven pi over 6. So that's pi and 1/6. So pi is here, 1/6 more is going to be right there. That ordered pair is negative root 3 over 2, negative 1/2. And then negative 4 pi over 3. If I think about this, this is negative pi and 1/3. So I actually should write it as negative 1 and pi over 3, like as a mixed number. Okay, so negative pi is here, and 1/3 pi more is going to be up here. So the same spot as 2 pi over 3. Okay, if you're asked to draw the following angles, negative 450 degrees. Let's start here at 0, 0. 360 plus 90 more is going to be 450. Or positive 300 degrees. I'm going to start, let me use a different color. I'm going to start here and come back around. And I'm going to be right there. Negative 5 pi. So I have negative 1 pi, 2 pi, 3 pi, 4 pi, 5 pi is going to end up right here. And then 7 pi over 6. 7 pi over 6 is 1 and 1/6 pi. In other words, I'm going to go 1 pi and pi over 6 more. So I'd be like right there. Okay, remember, when you have the unit circle, you have radian and degree angles. Every angle corresponds to an ordered pair. Every x coordinate is the cosine of the angle. Every y coordinate is the sine of the angle. Every point around the unit circle creates a right triangle with the x-axis. So if I think about the cosine of the angle, and my radius, remember, is 1, that's going to be equivalent to the x-coordinate. Because cosine is opposite over hypotenuse, so that'd be x over 1, which is the x-coordinate. Sine of the angle then is going to be y. Cosine is opposite over adjacent, so that would be y over x. And then secant, cosecant, and cotangent are the reciprocals of those. So this is going to be 1 over x, 1 over y, and x over y for cotangent. Okay, so we have quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, and quadrant 4. Cosine and sine are positive in the first quadrant, negative in the third quadrant. And then we have negative positive and positive negative. Because tangent is y over x, the tangent is going to be negative in quadrants 2 and 4, which makes tangent positive in quadrant 1 and 3. Now, in delta math, when you're trying to figure out which quadrant the angle lies in, you're going to be given information. Okay, so sine is positive and cosine is negative. Sine is positive in quadrant 1 and quadrant 2. Cosine is negative in quadrant 2 and quadrant 3. The common element is quadrant 2, so that's the solution. Here we have sine is positive. Sine is positive, remember, in 1 and 2. Tangent is negative in 2 and 4. Again, my answer is now going to be quadrant 2. Look at one more. Cotangent is positive. Cotangent is positive in 1 and 3, just where tangent is positive. Cosine is negative in 2 and 3. So that means my answer is quadrant 3. Okay, so go to Delta Math. Reach out if you have questions. This is 1 if by land, 2 if by sea.